Welcome back to The Edge. LinkedIn is up to 722 million members and continues to see record levels of engagement. We're talking about social media. Is it going to win or lose from this election? And another headline that we're covering, Google's working on a new process which will convert static websites into video content. All this on the Digital News Roundup today on The Edge.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
All right, hey, welcome to the Site Strategics Digital Marketing News Desk of Edge of the Web. This is the bonus news podcast of the Shay Rowbottom episode of Edge of the Web. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks of Site Strategics. Joining me this week to get her take on the digital marketing news of the week is Shay Rowbottom, CEO of Rowbottom Marketing. Shay, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome. It's great to have you back. And hey, you got a new backdrop there. What's going on? You got a new house.
I sure do. I got a new house. I got a house for the first time in 10 years since the last time I lived on the ground and not in a building was high school with my parents. So it's been nice to kind of get back on the earth and ground myself again.
Absolutely. Congratulations. And you've had growing success over the last few years, and we want to tackle that and kind of unpack that for our audience. Shay's coming back. The last time we talked to her was about a year ago, and I think a few things have changed over that period of time, but we certainly welcome you back. And we wanted to dive into our first article here. Let's tee it up for you. On social media today, a great article from Andrew Hutchinson. LinkedIn is up to 722 million members, continues to see record levels of engagement. The findings are listed in Microsoft's FY21 Q1 report, which the company published this week, outlining key performance highlights in the period. So first and foremost, the reason I want to tee this up is this is Shay's jam, right? This is LinkedIn is where she is contributing so much, and she's an incredible thought leader in this space. I mean, given that more people are looking for work amid COVID-19 pandemic, it's actually a little surprise that LinkedIn has actually increased usage with a parent company, Microsoft, reporting that's actually up 31%. So, Shay, your quick take on those numbers. What are you seeing in marketing and advertising performance inside of LinkedIn?
Yeah, it has become a lot more saturated since COVID. I think we shouldn't be very surprised by that because there's a couple different things going on. One is the more obvious, which is that many people got laid off. Many people lost their job. Maybe they didn't even previously have a LinkedIn profile, but they decided to create one because they knew this was an opportunity for job seekers on this platform. Yep. And so that is contributing to the growth in one area. But the other aspect is just that, for any industry that utilize live events or, person-to-person meetings to grow their business, gain new clientele, et cetera, has really had to get creative in 2020 and pivot to utilizing more of these digital resources to grow their business. And so those people are also coming to LinkedIn more, knowing there's an opportunity to get leads here, to grow a brand here, as opposed to some other trending platforms, like TikTok. And of course, there's Instagram. Business people are forced to get creative, and they know that LinkedIn is a place for professionals and a place for a lot of people who have money who could potentially buy their products. So I think that it's simply become another avenue, a new avenue, a digital avenue for these businesses that may have lost business in the traditional sense of, foot traffic or live events. And
Absolutely. And I mean, we're also talking conventional businesses that hadn't been using digital marketing before were forced into a whole nother realm of remote working, what have you, that really kind of force them into potentially even these new realms of marketing because trade shows are shut down, all these conventional platforms. So you're right, is that there's a lot more investment in there, but there's also a lot more sloppiness that has happened as there's this gang rush into LinkedIn to be able to try to find that new leadership or that new brand positioning of these different companies as well as individuals. Would you agree with that or not?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's like I said, it's become a lot more saturated. I do feel that even a little over a year ago when I was last on the show,
Hmm.
we were still in a position where there was not a lot of competition on LinkedIn. There weren't a lot of brands making video. I like to attribute my own influence on this platform to that changing. Even if people never became a client of mine, I do think just following me and seeing what I've been able to create for my business on LinkedIn has allowed a lot of other businesses to model after. Hey,
Hmm.
why don't we make videos? Why don't we start putting our voice out there in the feed? And just as we said, it's also just not a choice anymore. I know for digital marketers, it's been a great year. For myself,
Hmm.
right away when COVID hit, April was the most money that I had ever made in 1 month was the month of April, and I've since topped it several months after, because so many people that would previously be on the fence about learning digital marketing
Yeah.
have since hired me and then said, okay, I can't wait anymore. I have no option, which I actually think is a beautiful thing, as much as I'm a people person and I want to return to the live events and being able to hug and love on everyone. That's a huge part of my personality. I do think it's been good. I do think it's woken a lot of people up, especially the older generation, to realize, okay, people have been telling me I need digital marketing. I need digital marketing.
Yep.
Now, COVID was just kind of the push to finally put them over the edge.
Absolutely. I give it. There's a pun there. Over the edge, right?
Over the edge. I was thinking
Ah,
that.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry. Yeah. Well, speaking of over the edge, that's great intake. Input. I really do appreciate that. To our next article, I really do want to have a look at this. This is from governing.com from Daniel Castro and Elise Dick. No matter who wins the election, social media will lose. I wanted to bring this around to you as well, because there is this everything's changed this year. And with this particular article it's timely, because the election was literally last night and everything's up in the air. And not going into politics, I'm really talking about social use. So for certainty, for so many people ahead of yesterday's election, is that social media will be blamed on this, whether for spreading misinformation or the unyielding censorship. But it also means that change is probably likely to follow. So, there's a lot of positioning in this article about whether Biden wins or whether Trump wins. But regardless of the outcome, the losing side will be primed to blame social media for their loss and try to punish them over the next 4 years. If the winning side is going to say they likely did win because of social media, the losing side is invariably going to be looking at this that there's a broken social media environment, and they're going to try to fix the rules to their advantage next election cycle. So there was a lot on the censorship side of things, and there's a lot of people calling for breaking up big tech and what have you. But I see one thing out of this article that's really just not there. It's about the digital responsibility of our society, and that there's no. You have to have a driver's license to drive a car, right? There's no accountability in our space on social media to not just light things metaphorically on fire, and it's actually transferring into real world scenarios over the year. So we're all astounded by what's happening here. What's your take on social communication responsibility, Shay?
Yeah. It's a really interesting time, because these platforms, they do definitely have a responsibility, but they also have a lot of power. And I think that, to me, the biggest wake up call of
Mm-hmm.
2020 has been the censorship on social media.
Right.
I have never in my life, I've only been in business 4 or 5 years, but heavily on social media for those 4 and 5 years. I owned a licensing firm back in the day. So I was very aware of censorship on social media. It was my job to be aware of it. And never had I ever seen anything like this, what we're experiencing in 2020 with the censorship on social media. And I think that I know that it is causing actually an exodus. What's happening is these social media platforms are essentially becoming an extension of the mainstream news, which
Mm-hmm.
people are also realizing can be very fabricated, can be very pop propagandizing, in the sense that a news station, a mainstream news channel like CNN, for example, it's not a democracy. They are being handed news to share with you that was hand selected for you, and that's it. There is no choice. The difference with social media platforms previously, how it's always been with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, is it's a democracy on social media. What I mean by that is people vote on content with their engagement.
Right.
So the reason that something goes viral on social media is because so many people voted in the form of a like, a comment, a share. They voted that, this is really interesting. More people should see this. And that is what causes the news on social media is democracy, is more and more people voting, hey, I would like this to be seen. And that's not how the mainstream news works. They just hand select whatever they want to share with you. And the social media platforms have gotten so powerful. There's so many users on there. Anyone can create, anyone. You don't need to have an agent and a plan to get big in Hollywood to be famous anymore. You can literally just grow a following on social media and people will listen to you. And there's a lot of power in that I do believe is being ruptured right now. The social media platforms are starting to censor everything. Maybe there is some infiltration with the government, with the mainstream news, where they're trying to now control social media as the new mainstream news. But at least in the circles I run in, it's been really inspiring to see a lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are waking up to, I love free speech. And I think that's what's great about this country. And even if someone has a differing opinion on politics, on coronavirus, on social media, I want to live in a world where they have a right to share that and not be censored. So what we're seeing now, Aaron, and what I am excited about is this exodus from traditional mainstream social media platforms to decentralized platforms. There's Web Talk is getting big. There's Minds, there's Patreon, there's all of these other platforms now that are made by creators for the creators, where they vow that free speech will remain and we are not going to censor and promote different things based on our own political interests as a platform. We want this to be a place of democracy. We want creators to be able to come here and no voices are censored, and everyone is heard. Right. So I do believe that's been the great awakening of 2020. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with more of these platforms. I myself am actually in the process of building my own platform.
Oh, wow.
So that's been really exciting as well.
Holy, is this breaking news?
This is breaking news. I actually haven't shared this with anyone yet, Aaron. You're the first show I mentioned it on. Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, we wish you all the best in that, and we certainly would love to see that as you start rolling that out. But you're absolutely right, Shay. There's also this social echo chamber that has been moved by and amplified by the monetization of these networks, right? Is that advertisers want you to stay on those platforms and engage more, so you're going to hear more of your own thoughts. If you caught The Social Dilemma on Netflix, fantastic show, and it's scary because it is actually real. You're engaging with your own soundboard, not the community at large, and having a fair environment. There's a lot of just resonance and cauterizing of people's opinions as well. So, and it all happens to be moved and motivated by monetization and advertising. So this is also one of these watershed moments of if there's that next level, that next evolution of social, we've got to jettison or have the opt-out button to not be sold to be able to have a democratized or at least an environment where you can actually hear opinions and hear alternative thoughts and be able to have a civil debate, as opposed to the environment where we're in that is just stoking the experience to benefit their own advertising goals. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually a really good point as well about the advertising and the targeting. I think we've all by now heard a story where you're talking about something and then next thing you know, you see an ad on your phone. It's like, I think there was actually a story about a woman who was pregnant and Facebook knew she was pregnant before she even knew, based on her patterning and all of the data that they've amassed. So,
right.
Data, I always say this, technology in theory is not bad. Technology is an objective tool. It's really up to the source, the state of the human consciousness, whether healthy or unhealthy, that's going to dictate where we go with technology, because all of this data can be a weapon, and I think that's what we're really starting to realize is, wait a minute, like I want to formulate my own opinions. I don't want to get caught in this rabbit hole of social media. Like you mentioned, the social dilemma. It's like it is an addiction, and it is another form of escape for a lot of people. So I do think that that's an important factor to consider as well, is like, let's not demonize technology. I am definitely not of the group that says, oh, Facebook's evil and these platforms are evil and this and that. No, it's us. We're sick, or we've been sick, I should say, rather. It's really not technology. It's the source. It's what technology. It's the same with opiates, for example. Let's say I go to the hospital tomorrow and I get prescribed morphine for a surgery that I have.
Right.
Well, what's the difference between me not getting addicted to that morphine and someone who goes to the hospital and then does end up, on morphine, or maybe even worse, heroin from that incident? It's the source. It's because I'm not the context for addiction. Someone else might take the same drug, have the same experience, and be the context for addiction. So I think that we're seeing in mass that so many people are wounded, so many people are unfulfilled, so many people are addicts in one form or another, are insecure, that social media becomes a crutch. Social media becomes a place to lash out on your peers for having different opinions of you, not because in reality this person is ruining your life by not sharing your belief, but because you are internally wounded and you're looking for something to soothe that wound, whether it's the addiction to shopping, whether it quite literally is the addiction to scrolling and posting on social media. I mean, we saw in that Netflix series that it mimics a slot machine. They said the sort of endorphin, the dopamine rush.
The dopamine injection,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm not here to demonize technology. I think technology can be our greatest asset. I think that it can be beautiful. I think we as humans need to slow down. We need to heal. We need to learn how to regulate our own emotions and raise children who truly love themselves, so that these children are not the context for addiction, are not the context for comment wars on social media. And that's when we're really going to be able to step into a place where technology is our friend.
Amen to that. And I'm gonna siphon this passion and get it over to our second segment of our interview here, because there's much more in this space. But I truly appreciate your take on that. It's quite enlightening that we can have that type of perspective as well, and understanding the context. And we just have to grow up, and we're still in our adolescence in this space, and there needs to be the maturation of how to use this technology effectively and with accountability as well. All right, so changing up real quick, I want to make sure that we give a shout out to our continued sponsor of Edge of the Web. That's Ahrefs. Fantastic program to be able to do competitive analysis against your competitors, seeing where they actually are ranking, what terms, what content, the links that they have coming into their website, so you can reverse engineer it, deconstruct it, and be able to do better digital work in that space. You can see the pages, the content they're sending them the most traffic, find out the exact words they're ranking for, and which backlinks are helping them. Some fantastic audit tools, some link intersect tools to be able to see where you're not getting links and your competitors are. And on top of that, they got a great webmasters tool that's free for all users, and jump in there, audit your own site, be able to see a lot of great information that gives you actionable steps right then and there. So go over to ahrefs.com. They have a special there, 7 days for $7, and it's the entire tool. You can be able to see everything that you can use for your own SEO success. So give them a shout, ahrefs.com. All right, for our last article, I wanted to dive into, because Shay is regularly inside of VideoWorks, and she's moving video content all the time. That's part of her one of her main guns inside of LinkedIn is the video tactic. On social media today, check this out. Another article from Andrew Hutchison. Google's working on a new process which will convert static website assets into video content. Google's actually testing a new process that will enable businesses to create video assets from static website content, making it easier for brands to move into video content. So it's a tool that they've got, a process that they've got. It's called URLs to video, and it's able to actually analyze your website assets and then arrange them into a animated presentation. So there are some videos that you can check out on that link. We'll have it in the show notes of the site. As explained by Google, assume your user provides a URL to a web page that illustrates their business. The URL to video pipeline automatically selects key content from the page and decides the temporal and visual presentation of each asset based on a set of heuristics derived from an interview study with designers who are familiar with website design and video ad creation. So it's actually loading up the DOM, rendering the page, seeing the different areas of the site, and then actually presenting a timeline of presentation of information plus image, information plus image. It's literally as if someone was reading your web page and looking at what would be next in the information that they would want to consume. This is pretty intuitive, and it actually gives you a little bit of insight into how Google's actually rendering and reading your content as you lay it out on your website. But there's always going to be some challenges whenever you have automatic video rendering, but what an opportunity to be able to process and be able to easily leverage some video assets on your own site, but also for marketing purposes. And herein comes Shay. What do you think about these type of automatic processes that can actually bootstrap maybe some companies that never did video before in their lives?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I've known for a while we're going to be seeing more and more of these technologies now, especially as video becomes the primary medium on a lot of platforms. A lot of algorithms really favor video content right now. And a lot of young people like to consume video. I think I read recently that millennials who get a video training at work are 10 times more engaged now than if it's a regular written training or one-on-one training, which is actually very interesting. So
yep.
I think it's great. I'm interested to see how it will all pan out, because we are moving into such a video centric world where the question becomes, will there even be a space for non-video content? There are I mean,
I know
there
what
are
you're saying.
Yeah, there are benefits for articles. You can typically consume things quicker via article rather than via audio or via video, because people can read very quickly. So I think it's great. I'm just more so open and curious to see how it will all pan out. And I do like the opportunity that it provides other businesses and non-tech savvy individuals that know that they need video and don't really know where to start. This is a great automatic tool that takes that work off of their plate.
At least it gets them in the game, and then they can actually realize, wow, we actually need to improve this. So, I don't know about the quality, but at the same time, it does give them the ability to start the process. Some stats that they threw out there in the article: video is the best performing content type on Facebook. Tweets with video are 10 times more engaging than those without. And tweets with videos save more than 50% on the cost per engagement on promoted tweets. LinkedIn users are 20 times more likely to share a video on a platform than any other post type. How about that?
Yeah.
And we're talking proof in the pudding here with Shay. I mean, that's what she's moving regularly. Pinterest users are 2.6 times more likely to make a purchase after viewing brand video content on a platform. So the stats
that's interesting too.
I know. Yeah. All right, so that's it for the wrap up here. We certainly appreciate your intake and your input on these articles, Shay. Be sure to check out the full interview with Shay Rowbottom that's linked to this podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updated when we go live and whenever we throw out some great snackable video pieces, trying to practice what we preach around here. So you're going to be seeing a lot more small video chunks that you can actually consume Pez-like, if you would. All right, so from all of us over at Edge of the Web, be safe, be well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.